How's it going, guys? So, Chelsea won, Aston Villa won. I mean, it's not a win, but it's not a defeat either. And I think following our last outing against Arsenal, it was important to just have a performance here. And for the most part, the performance was there. It was much improved on that Arsenal game. Lampard made wholesale changes to the starting 11, both in terms of resting players and just kind of pointing a finger at a couple and saying you're dropped. And it worked. For periods of the game, not the whole game. Aston Villa were well in this one, but for periods of the game, we did look really, really good. The interplay was there, but you still have to look at it as, despite how fantastic Aston Villa have been this season, we were at home and this should still be one that we should be looking to win. So that's disappointing to only come away with 1 point, but I think it's time to just get into these player ratings and have a closer look at how things went. Edouard Mendy, 8 out of 10. Mendy started off this game, pretty much the first thing he did was absolutely clatter his own player, Kristin Bulasik, when trying to claim the ball on the ground. It was quite comical, but after that, he was brilliant. He made a number of amazing saves, not like world class how'd he do that saves, but definitely important ones, shots that needed saving. He was in no way at fault for the goal. Anwar El Ghazi just found himself in miles of space at the back post. He was there to tap home, so we can't blame him for that. But the saves he made kept us in the game at important times when Aston Villa were maybe in the ascendancy. So a fine outing from Mendy here. Cesar Azpilicueta, 7 out of 10. Azpilicueta's defensive performance here was quite decent. I will say that for the Aston Villa goal, he could maybe have let Rudiger deal with the ball if it came centrally. I know Christensen was out of action, but Cesar let himself get drawn into the middle a bit too much, left El Ghazi completely free at the back post, but apart from that, he didn't really make any mistakes, and going forward, he put a few decent balls into the box. We know he's not quite Reece James at crossing, but his attacking performance was quite solid as well, so 7 out of 10. Andreas Christensen, 6 out of 10. He didn't do anything actually wrong in the game in terms of big mistakes, but I always just take issue with players staying down when they're not actually injured. You know, he had that collision with Jack Grealish. Jack looks up and sees the plays continuing, so he hops up, charges in, ends up playing a part in the goal, while the whole time Christensen is still lying on the ground, hoping that the referee will bring it back to him when, I mean, it's not a head injury, so that's just not going to happen. Sure enough, the goal happens, it stands, and Christensen's well able to continue. I mean, it's something we've seen all throughout football. Players staying down, feigning the injury, playing it up. So it's not like he did anything criminal, but I mean, you better believe that the lads I play Sunday League with wouldn't go rolling around lying down injured like that when they weren't actually hurt. It's a bit embarrassing. It's not fighting for the shirt. He should get up, continue, and then if he's actually hurt, when the ball goes out of play, then just lie back down on the floor. But he left us a man short in the back, ends up being a goal that really was against the run of play at the time. So Christensen, just know I don't approve. Antonio Rudiger, 7 out of 10. Rudiger is a bit of a forgotten man under Lampard this season. He was the main man last season for pretty much the whole thing, but with Thiago Silva coming in and Kurt Zouma playing so well, he's pretty much been frozen out of the squad. With those two being rested in this game, Rudiger was given the chance and he did quite well. I can't remember him making any mistakes, and I do remember him doing quite a lot right. He made some fantastic tackles, won several difficult aerial challenges, I would say. Couple of sloppy passes, but for the most part he was also quite decent coming out of defence. So yeah, Rudiger, you've definitely not done yourself any harm in this one. Ben Chilwell, 8 out of 10. Chilwell was one of the players that I really took aim at after that Arsenal performance, and I think that he in his own head knows that he was maybe quite lucky to be one of the few that kept his place in the starting lineup for this one, but he sees the opportunity. He said, okay, I have to make a statement here, and he made a statement. His attacking play was fantastic all game long. He put in that brilliant cross for Giroud to score, and defensively he was also quite brilliant. Got maybe overrun a little bit by the strength and pace of Bertrand Traore, but that's a difficult man to mark, so we won't hold it against him too much. So yeah, definitely redeemed yourself a bit in this one. Orgino, 5 out of 10. I like Orgino. I've been a fan of his pretty much since he came to the club, but he's not been bringing it this season. He can't do the defensive work as good as Kante does, and he isn't controlling the midfield passing as well as he has done in previous seasons. So you just kind of look at him and say, well, what are you doing in the team? He tried a few audacious balls in this game, which I love to see. You know, try the difficult pass, because if it comes off, then you've skipped the middleman in the Aston Villa defence. You know, you've broken through the midfield and you're straight on the attack. But in this particular instance, didn't really work for him on any occasion. Got a little bit involved with the interplay, but for the most part, he stayed sitting deep, not really having as much of an impact on the game as I would have liked. But for the most part, he did an okay job. N'Golo Kante, 6 out of 10. Kante was like a little Jack Russell Terrier in this game, just running around, nibbling at heels all game long. He did eventually pick up a yellow card, but I think he made about 6 or 7 fouls before he did. Normally, these would be fouls that he wouldn't be fouling the player in. He would have gotten the ball. The instance where he did get the yellow card, it was a foul on John McGinn, and I actually thought Kante was going to get to the ball first, and then he was just that half a second late, but it was very un-Kante-like to be that half a second late, so I was a bit surprised. Going forward, you know, when Orgino plays, Kante is going to have a bit more of a forward role. I don't like it, but he doesn't do a bad job at it either. This is one of his better performances going forward, but still it's not quite his forte. So overall, when he doesn't do his defensive work as well as he usually does, Kante is not going to shine a whole lot in that Chelsea midfield, but he still gets the job done for the most part. Mason Mount, 7 out of 10. A big part of Mason's game is whipping in the corners, which he did terribly in this game. It wasn't like the Arsenal game where he kept trying this training ground stuff that wasn't coming off. This time he was just trying to dump it into the box. Didn't work for him at all. It seemed like without Zuma and Thiago Silva in there, he didn't know who to aim at. A lot of them ended up in the hands of Emi Martinez, but I'm not going to give him a bad rating just because of some bad corners. Overall in this game, Mason Mount was fantastic, I would say. His interplay was brilliant. There were so many occasions where Chelsea played these little 1-2s, quick passing movements, and at some point Mount was almost always involved in them. He looked to be the creative spark. He looked to be the one that inspired us to come up with something brilliant in the game that didn't quite materialise in this one. But if he can carry that into the next game and the game after that, it will start happening. Callum Hudson-Odoi, 5 out of 10. I did say in my review of the Arsenal game that I wanted Hudson-Odoi to start in this one, and I don't take that back because he did deserve the start. Unfortunately, he wasn't bad in this game, but things just didn't quite come out for him. The start of the match, he played a few passes that came off spectacularly, and I was like, oh yeah, he's on it. And then he just kind of fell away. We did seem to favour attacking down the left with Bulasik and Chilwell, probably because Reece James wasn't on the pitch to play down the right. But still, when on the ball, Callum Hudson-Odoi didn't quite have the same energy and drive that he had in that Arsenal game when he came off the bench. He tried to take on his man a couple of times, didn't really work. He tried a few weird deep crosses. Most of the time, they didn't really work. But I don't want him to just be dropped again straight away after this for another 10 games. I want him to get a bit more time in the starting lineup, or at least off the bench, because we know that he can be a fantastic player. He just needs to be given more chances. Kristin Bulasik, 7 out of 10. Pulasik's performance in this game was fantastic at times in almost every department except one, which is finishing. He had a few chances that he squandered. First one, Jack Grealish gives the ball away in a dangerous position. Kristin does well to latch onto it and get past his man, but the finish is poor. And later on, he gets on the end of a flick from Giroud. He's about 2 yards away from goal. It's basically a bicycle kick that he's trying to pull off. It's awkward, but he blazes it over the bar. He should have just focused on keeping the effort on target, because that would have been enough probably to result in a goal. He did also have a header cleared off the line, but he was offside anyway, so I mean, doesn't matter a whole lot. Still though, apart from finishing, Bulasik in this game was fantastic. His dribbling, his interplay, similar to Mason Mount. Anytime we had good build-up play in the final third around the Aston Villa box, Bulasik was involved. I did say a lot of the play was down his side, him and Chilwell, and so he saw quite a lot of the ball, and for the most part he was efficient with it. Like I said, finishing not great, but apart from that, his passing, his crossing, his willingness to take on his man, all there. He looked sharp, he looked fit, he looks like he's back to the Pulisic of last season. So hopefully he keeps his place in the starting lineup for a few games to come. Olivier Giroud, 7 out of 10. The scorer of an absolutely fantastic header in this one to give us the lead. Unfortunately, couldn't hold on to it. But it wasn't the only good thing that Giroud did in the game. When given the chance, he made a nuisance of himself in the box, particularly when the ball was put in the air. He also, in the build-up play to his own goal, showed a lovely little touch to pretty much start the move off. But unfortunately, all his good work was kind of confined to 10 minutes of the game, maybe 15. Start of the match, he wasn't really in it. From the second half to when he was subbed off, wasn't really in it. So he's not going to get a spectacular rating here just for scoring the goal, but he still put in good work when given the opportunity. Anyway lads, that's it for this one. Like I said, disappointing not to come away with the 3 points, but this was a very entertaining game, something you have to give credits to both sides for. Still though, performance was there, much improved on what I've seen in the last few games, so if we can bring that into our next few matches, surely the wins will start to come again, and maybe we can go on another 17 game unbeaten streak. But if you have enjoyed, leave a like, comment below whether you agree, disagree with my ratings, subscribe for more footy chats, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next video.